daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Daily Newcastle. My name is Iain. I'm here tonight, like Cinderella again, to do a solo pod. We had down it was going to be a match reaction to the England-Andorra game. And surprisingly, there was only me around to be able to do that because, let's be honest, it didn't look very inspiring on paper. We were all fortunate not to have to sit through the 1-0 away win in Andorra a few months ago. It's all about getting the points on the board and getting England to qualify for the World Cup. But quite a little bit of Newcastle United interest in today's squad as England lined up to play against Andorra with Dan Burns starting and Anthony Gordon and Tino Livramento on the bench. I feel, however, as this is meant to be a immediate post-match reaction, that I have to come clean a little bit with you. For some bizarre reason, which had never made itself apparent to me, England-Andorra kicked off at Wembley at 5 p.m. So, as I'm tuning in around about 7:30 to watch the game, I realised I've already missed it. So I didn't watch the match. But I found a little bit more information to talk about so that this podcast won't just be 2 minutes long. I have looked at the highlights, of which are short. I think it's fair to say. But I think it's important that we have a look at how our boys did from a Newcastle perspective. And from what I can tell, it was quite a improved performance against Andorra than it was when we played them away. Tuchel came in for a lot of criticism that game. He's going to come in for a lot of criticism in this game as well. England at home against Andorra have won 2-0 with a glorious own goal in the first half and actually quite a glorious header from Declan Rice in the second half. We were just so dominant in this game that it was difficult, really. And I think it demonstrates a problem that Newcastle have as well. However vast the gulf in class is between two football teams, if a team is defensively well organised and will play a deep, low block, just purely trying to keep you out, then they are remarkably difficult to break down. And England had a little bit of a touch of the Newcastle problem of being unable to break down this low block. And that's with class players you'd expect to be able to do that in the lineup, like Eze and Madueke. Really poor return in terms of shots on target. The goalkeeper wasn't peppered with shots, but England have won, and that's the important thing. I'm not going to dwell on the game. I didn't see it, but also it sounds like a lot of complete control, passing the ball around in a tick-a-tacker, even duller kind of a way. I thought perhaps just to, for completeness' sake, it would be important or useful to see what the BBC thought of each of the Newcastle players' performances, and I'm going to do that. However, I do think man of the match needs to be raised, and it's got to be 3 cheers from St James's Park for one of our old boys. The match marked the full international debut of Elliot Anderson, and he was everywhere, controlling things. It was Andorra's midfield that he was battling against, so you'd hope that he would be able to do that. But the BBC said of Elliot Anderson, it was a really solid debut for the Nottingham Forest midfielder, comfortable taking the ball in possession and marshalling the space in front of the England's back four. It looked like he'd been playing that role for his country for a long time. It was Andorra. He had a big chance to score, but he didn't connect with his shot. He's not really tested defensively, but a very good start to international football. That is great. We knew it, didn't we? We knew it when we were watching him come on as the first choice sub in midfield 2 years ago. We feared it as Nottingham Forest were able to pinch him from under our noses because of us trying to comply with PSR. But anyway, well done to Elliot Anderson. Did nothing wrong. There are 3 more camps before the World Cup. Hopefully he'll keep his place and we'll see him playing in America next year. As for the rest of the Newcastle boys, the BBC gave Dan Burn 6 out of 10. It said, not tested defensively and given the task of driving forward with the ball. Really? Dan Burn could have played Elliot Anderson at centre half. Dominant in the air, but there was not much else for him to do. So Dan doesn't sound like he's suddenly discovered the Fabien Schär's penchant for 60-yard crossfield diagonals. But we're not expecting him to do that. Well done, Dan. It's another clean sheet. Tino Livramento came on in the 68th minute. Once the game was already won at 2-0. Was always looking to use his powerful running to make something happen. 6 out of 10. I'm not sure he did make much happen, but that's Tino marauding forward. He obviously has brought his club form into his cameo performance in the second half. Anthony Gordon, he came on. When did Anthony Gordon come on? Try and see when that was. Anthony Gordon came on for Marcus Rashford. I can't see what time it was. After the 68th minute, BBC said they replaced Rashford, but he didn't have many opportunities to have an impact. So, that was a bit, maybe they'll get another chance come Wednesday's game. A much tougher game away in Serbia coming up on Wednesday. Probably the hardest game of the group. But England are sitting pretty at the top of their qualification group now. I think that's 4 games that they've won. So 12 points. All systems go for the US of A. Can't really say very much more than that. I'm going to stop there. In fact, I've got much more interesting stuff to tell you in the second part. Let's have a pause and a little word from Ken.
Your body is unique, and Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements. Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN 2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bioniq. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
And we are back for part 2, where I'm going to have a look at how the rest of the Magpies out there have fared during the first part of this international break. I know that Joanne and Nicola mentioned that Nico Voltamada, who I'm keeping people calling him Voltamata. It's nothing to do with tomatoes. Voldemada. Led the line for Germany and was denied the ball by Reedy Wirtz and the rest of the German team in a incredible, their first ever loss away from home in a World Cup qualifying group when they lost 2-0 to Martin Dubravka's Slovakia. They've already discussed that. I think as they were recording on Friday, Iain was playing for the Democratic Republic of Congo away in the African Cup of Nations qualifying groups. In South Sudan, Democratic Republic of Congo won 4-1, and Iain scored the 4th goal and also got an assist for one of the earlier goals. So that's one of our strikers that scored this season. Another one of our strikers. I'm not going to go out of sync, even though that would have made sense there. I'm just going to confuse myself. Also on Friday, Emil Kraft and Anthony Elanga lined up for Sweden. That other Swede that we're familiar with started on the bench. It was Gyökeres that was playing up front. But Elanga scored in a 2-2 draw away at Slovenia. So another Newcastle player on the score sheet, which has got to be good news for next week when we play Wolves. Do it again. Joe Linton, of course, was injured, although apparently is really approaching full fitness for the Wolves game next Saturday. But Bruno G went to Brazil. Brazil played Chile in their South American qualifying group, and he was on target, scoring the third goal in a man-of-the-match performance as Brazil beat Chile 3-0. Well done, Bruno. Sandro Tonali started for Italy in the centre of midfield and was pulling the strings for the first 70 minutes of their game as they strolled to their expected comfortable win over Estonia back in the European World Cup qualifiers. And Denmark drew 0-0 at home to Scotland with our Will Asula just wearing the number 8 shirt, which sounded good as they were lining up for warming up before the game. But he watched the whole of the goalless draw from the bench and didn't manage to make it on. But well done to Will Asula. That's his first full international call-up. Elsewhere, Alex Murphy was an unused substitute as the Republic of Ireland's under-21s beat Moldova 2-1. Leo Sahar, our right back of great promise, made his first team debut as a late substitute in the Sella Cup. He came on as second half substitute for England's under-19s in a 2-0 win against Ukraine. So well done, Leo. Internationally capped now. And this is good. I like this. From the Newcastle website. Sam Alabi, George Mayer, and Roman Dowell were all called up for the England under-17s, and Alabi captained the side, and Mayer played in goal for the whole 90 minutes in a 2-1 win over Venezuela, and they've 2 more games to play. Well done. Lewis Miley called up to the England under-21s, probably still travelling as they try to make it across to Kazakhstan. Their game is on Monday. But Lewis Miley for the under-21s, could he be the next Magpie with a full international call-up? He's going to have to make some minutes in the first part of this season if that's going to take place. But why not? We've got a lot of games coming up. I think I'm going to pause there again. This is going to be super fast. I told you, didn't I? I'm going to read you the Zencastr advert. Here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery platform. Zencastr came out the clear winner. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs, it's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Not sure what I'm doing all the dancing for. I think I've already confessed when that is playing, but it doesn't come through my headphones, so I don't hear it. A token part 3, just to get the Zencastr advert in. I don't feel well enough researched or knowledgeable enough, but should mark that Newcastle have appointed David Robinson as a new CEO. Darren Eales is probably easing off now after his ill health, and we've appointed the guy who has been at Real Madrid. We've got him from Madison Square Garden, where he was in charge of 2 different New York teams. I can't remember. You see, I told you I hadn't done the research. Probably very significant that we've got a CEO. Will certainly free up Eddie Howe from a lot of the stuff that he's been asked to do over the summer. And with the technical director already appointed, Suds, we just need a director of football, who I think they're very close to appointing. Maybe they just needed the CEO to get his feet in under the table before they announce him as well. And then we should have a board, and we should have some executive decision makers in England instead of having to go across to Saudi and talk to the chairman every time somebody wants to buy a stamp to post a letter or whatever it is that it takes. You'd hope that would mean that Eddie Howe would get a lot more time to focus on his training and coaching and running the first team than he got during pre-season. I'm not going to go any more into that. I think we need to talk about that. Maybe that's the subject that we'll have tomorrow. I don't think I'm down to do another solo tomorrow. So, England have won 2-0. Dan Burn was okay, got a clean sheet. Tino Livramento, quite good when he came on. Didn't have much more than a cameo. Anthony Gordon came on a bit late to affect anything at all. When the match is over and the crowd's already whistling because they want to go home. I can hear you whistling because you want to go home. I was going to do 15 minutes and I've gone over that already. So thank you very much indeed for listening. I hope that's helped. Bring you up to speed with where all the Magpies have been over this international weekend. We will be back tomorrow with another Daily Newcastle's Daily Podcast.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.